hate and discrimination of any kind is beyond acceptable and has no place in our society. In the United States of America in the year 2025, it should not be a controversial statement to say that anti-Semitism is horrific and must not be tolerated any place in our country.
Jewish students continue to find virtually every aspect of U.S. campus life increasingly hostile, not merely to their views, but to the very core of who they are as Jews. This includes rallies that not only distort and demonize Jewish identity, but also often include harassment, intimidation, violence, and threats of violence, which are no part of freedom of speech.
Anti-Semitism is not just an age-old prejudice. It is a contemporary crisis manifesting on campuses across the nation. It is not enough for individuals or institutions to merely claim they are not anti-Semitic. As my father once taught me, it is not enough for people, especially public figures, to be neutral or not be anti-Semitic. One must be anti-Semitic.
While anti-Semitism is known as the world's oldest hatred, the Hamas attack of October the 7th triggered an explosion of organized anti-Semitic attacks against Jewish people and Jewish institutions, initially on college campuses before it spread nationwide. Anti-Semitic incidents have surged 360% since October the 7th, according to the ADL survey, and 83% of Jewish college students across this country have reported witnessing or experiencing anti-Semitism on their campus.
Do you think that the Trump administration's efforts to address these, frankly, rampant displays of anti-Semitism have been more effective than the Biden administration's?
I think there's no question that these efforts have been more effective. As was mentioned a moment ago, certainly there was recognition by the Biden administration of the need to address anti-Semitism as a national problem. The Trump administration's efforts, including at Columbia, have put teeth to that discussion for the first time that we've seen.
The spiritual leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood, this is not Islam, it's a perversion of the great religion of Islam. The teachings of the Muslim Brotherhood is that the true believer, the true Muslim, is obligated to complete the work of Hitler. This is what is now entering into our universities unchecked, and we're calling for investigations into the funding of these anti-democratic, anti-American, sexist, homophobic, and genocidal anti-Semites funding our universities.
How is it allowable for a faculty member to give extra credit to students to participate in anti-Israel protests? Do you think that's right?
Senator, I think that there are questions of bad teaching that go across the board with all this.
Really,
but in that situation, it may well be. But the point is that on a campus, the idea is that students should be not singled out, not discriminated against, but should hear things differently. So if the professor says, I want everybody to go and report back, I don't care what you say about it, but I want you to, because it's happening, to tell me what you think, that's something different than saying, I'm going to give you extra credit for supporting something.
So do you agree that it is wrong for a student to be given extra credit for attending an anti-Israel debate?
It depends.
Or
If I had a student,
protest.
if I had a student and that debate was happening on the campus, I might want them to come back and say, tell me the different sides. On the other hand, if they're saying, I want you to go because this is the correct way, that is a wrong thing to do.
I believe that enforcement is what is necessary here. I believe that they need to be well educated on these issues, whomever it is going to be. I will say what we have seen recently when it is OCR investigators is, one, a lack of proper understanding in education and a lack of understanding of the law that requires enforcement. So to the extent that there is some cooperation between the Department of Education and the Department of Justice, I think that may be absolutely the recipe that we need.
Extremism, no matter what fringe it comes from, doesn't go away on its own. And frankly, on this issue and others in our politics today, I do fear that the further we are removed from World War II, the more likely we are to forget the lessons that many paid a terrible price for all of us to learn.
The connections between China and the radical Islamists like Hamas are no coincidence. It's called the Red-Green Alliance, as you said. Yeah. and the socialist left and radical Islamists are coordinating to undermine the United States and Israel, and Code Pink is a big part of it. And it's too bad that our Code Pink guest had to leave, because I really want to get into that. Dr. Small, Code Pink isn't just a far-left anti-war protest group anymore. It has become a direct tool of the Chinese Communist Party and the CCP influence in the United States, funded by CCP intermediaries. Code Pink is defending the Communist Party's internment of the Uyghurs. I mean, it's really crazy, but Code Pink is defending the human rights abuse against Uyghur Muslims. Code Pink says that Taiwan is a part of China, and they even accuse the U.S. of being the invader during the Korean War. Isn't that correct? Code Pink calls America the arsenal of genocide. And just yesterday, they interrupted a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing shouting anti-Israel slogans. Dr. Small, what links are you aware of between the CCP and Code Pink and other pro-Hamas organizations?
So our colleagues have done some research on this, and there definitely is links. There's links to Hamas. There's links to the Iranian revolutionary regime as well. The Code Pink people have visited Gaza and Iran on various occasions. So there is this sort of, they embody the Red-Green Alliance. They're anti-American, anti-democratic, anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I'm really sorry they left, because I wonder, like, do they even know that? Do they understand that? Do they understand that do they agree with that, or are they taken advantage of by Code Pink organizers and financiers?
Yeah, I think they take advantage of the free speech that we have here. And I think, in a way, a lot of this conversation was framed as free speech. But I also think, in terms of anti-Semitism and what's taking place on campus, is intimidation, violence, and criminal activity.
We have a very serious anti-Semitism problem in the United States of America. It is a problem that deserves a real and a forceful response. But the answer to anti-Semitism will never be authoritarianism. We cannot guarantee freedom if we let Trump march in and steal freedom while we remain silent.
I see that 5 or 6 days ago you gave an interview in which you said that the removal of Mahmoud Khalil, the pro-Hamas foreign rioter, is a form of McCarthyism and makes Jewish students less safe. Now, this is an individual who has been accused of endorsing and espousing terrorist activity, who has been accused of lying on his application to a green card in the United States, who is currently being sued for terrorizing and assaulting Jewish students. Do you stand by your view that trying to remove him is a form of McCarthyism?
Absolutely, Senator.
Why in the world would that be the case?
Let me answer. He hasn't been charged with the crime. The clear predicate for this, White House said, was handing out pro-Hamas propaganda. When you start talking about people's views and what they're talking about in the public square as a basis for discrimination, and then the effect on Jewish students, it's not just the fact that Jews may be seen as, well, we're pushing this and that's going to happen. The way that this is going to harm Jewish students is it harms the academy.
Wait a minute. My time is limited. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just wait a minute. I've got to correct numerous inaccuracies there. Number one, as you very well know, United States law says that a non-citizen is inadmissible for entry into this country if they, and I quote, endorse or espouse terrorist activity or persuade others to do the same. That same law provides you can be removed for the same reasons. That is what Mr. Khalil has been accused of. He has further been accused of, by the United States government, lying on his visa application. That on its own would be sufficient to remove him from this country. He is being sued, as you and I sit here in New York court, by the victims of October 7th for terrorizing and assaulting Jewish students, unlawfully taking over and damaging public university property, and physically assaulting Columbia University employees. And you're telling me that it's McCarthyism to remove this individual?
Senator, the deportation was started before that lawsuit, before that second question about what he was saying on his forms.
No, this is what the government has alleged in open court, Mr. Stern. This is the basis for their removal proceedings. And our law makes clear if you endorse or espouse terrorist activity, you can be removed from this country. He has done so. He's been accused of doing so from the beginning. He's been accused of lying to get into the country. I'm amazed that you're saying that this is McCarthyism.
Senator, you weren't here when I quoted part of what Justice Brandeis was talking about the back at a case where there's somebody that was convicted for supporting the Communist Party because they were talking about violence as a political solution. And Brandeis cautioned us that this type of robust speech, as long as...
This isn't speech. Lying on a visa application is not speech. Seeking to assault Columbia University employees and Jewish students is not speech. You are defending an individual who has espoused the destruction of this country, the destruction of the state of Israel, the destruction of Jews, and has taken actions in furtherance of the same. You've also said that investigating the 60 colleges and universities that are currently under investigation by the Trump administration for anti-Semitism is a form of weaponizing anti-Semitism for political benefit. You're opposed to investigating these institutions for anti-Semitism?
Senator, I've been very clear that OCR has a very important role, that there are complaints that should go through the process. When you start using the Department of Justice and threatening universities' funding,
Chasing kids into a room and pounding on the door when they are there is wrong.
Absolutely.
Let me just say that. And blocking their way to get across the commons to go to their class is wrong. And that shouldn't have to be established in a behavior handbook. That should just be known when the kid shows up. And if you're guilty of perpetrating that, you should suffer consequences. And I think that is not free speech.